Hey guys, and welcome back. This is Masses 32210, and we are in our makeshift shop. Since I've been in the shop and waiting on the new one, I've been itching to build something. And today is, what is today? Today is Wednesday. Monday was Labor Day, so I had the day off, thank God. And I was out here just fooling around, just looking at what parts I brought with me from the old shop and what I've accumulated since I've been here at this place. So what I'm going to do is kind of flip you around. I've been trying to think of a name for this video series, what the hell to even call this thing, and I think we're just going to plainly simply call this the Death Trap. The Hot Rod Death Trap. Sounds fitting. Let me flip you around and we'll show you what we're working with. Alright guys, this is what we're working with. Let me kind of explain all this. This is literally just a jumble of parts that I had laying around from other builds over the years and stuff that when I left my shop I didn't want to exactly leave behind. What we have starting out is, you see this frame. This is from a yard cart, and I still have the original rear end from this yard cart. And what this frame was originally for was, I had a Power Wheels Jeep body that I was planning on running on all like go-kart slicks. And I had turned around, I had chopped up the body so it fit right over this frame. I had an idea for this engine to kind of go here in this type idea, and I just kind of gave up on that project. I just didn't see it, didn't really feel it. So that project was probably filmed like 2 years ago. Matter of fact, I think I'll actually release those 2 videos that I made on that project before I release this one, so you will kind of take it from what I had built then and we'll transition it into this project. And like I said, this is just really reuse of all these kind of parts that I have. So we had this frame, and it was laying around in my shed at the next to the old shop. And this has been sitting, I don't know if y'all kind of see, there's an outdoor workbench, and it's been sitting there forever since I moved here back in November of last year. So the other day, since we had my buddy the next door help me put this canopy up and gave me an outdoor workstation, something a little bit better than trying to work in that little shed. Since we have the power lift table here, so I threw this up here. I was like, okay. So I kind of started back here. Let me get y'all back here. And what I did back here, since the axle was already on this frame, the sprocket, the disc brakes, what I started out with, if you see way in there, those are the aluminum hubs that I paid almost $130, I believe. Something like that, between 100 and 130, give or take. Went ahead and put them back on this 1.25" axle. So as I got them, took me almost a half hour to get them on because they were very tight, give or take 20-30 minutes. So then I was like, okay, well, we have a basic frame that was just laying here. I said, well, let's put some tires on. Now this is one golf cart rim and tire one of my buddies gave me, because we're still working on this contraption, but I have not showed y'all this because I've not done no real videos on this. This is part riding mower, part golf cart. We're redoing the golf cart, and I'll explain that in another video series. But what I did is went ahead and mounted these big golf cart tires to the rear. So then I got looking around. There's that yard cart, which that body goes to. That was donated by a friend of mine. The engine, that I have a trailer, all kind of stuff that he was donated for free. So I had to change out some wheels over there, and these dolly tires of sorts came with it. So after I had thrown this on here, and I was like, okay, well, let's see how much I can get done without really spending a penny. So I went ahead and threw these on. I got looking, I was like, okay, it needs an inner tube or it's flat of sorts. It's a little Harbor Freight. It's a Harbor Freight wheel, and we know that because of Hallmaster, which is going to be Harbor Freight. So I mounted them on here, and I got looking. Let's see if I can back you guys up. I got looking. I was like, hell, it looks like a hot rod. Well, I've been wanting to build a bar stool carts of sorts, and we're going to get to this. So this looks ridiculous at the moment. I'll explain. So I was looking for some metal. I needed an engine plate. This is pretty thick. I believe it's 3/16. Might be somewhere in that neighborhood. So that piece of metal came from the original motor mount I had in this project at one time. So I went ahead and slapped it up here. Needed a power plant. Now this Predator 420 has been through several projects, and as you'll see in the 2 videos before this, This is what I intended to use on that project, which is this one. I know I'm confusing. So I was like, well, I have electric start, I have pull start. Needed to do something with this engine. I didn't like it for the other projects. It was in the racing mower, if y'all guys have been with my channel long enough. Didn't like it in either one of them. I think the racing mower was just too heavy for this, the clutches. So I went ahead and slapped this motor on here. I'm like, okay, well, we got a power plant, we got a frame. Looked, I had some chain laying around. Okay, so we got chain. This is 2 different pieces of chain, so I'll need 2 master links to join it, which will cost me a total of $3. It's like $2.99 or something for 3 of them at Tractor Supply, so I'll go pick that up. And I have this centrifugal clutch, which I bought to use on that golf cart project. I also have a torque converter set up, so we got 2 different clutches to choose from. So my basic idea is everything's just kind of sitting in place. My next idea was I needed a chair. That's where this fancy doodad of a thing came. Now, the chair was right priced. It was free. I was stopped by the local thrift store, and at the thrift store, one of these legs kind of bolt together through some machine screws. The one leg was missing. They gave it to me free. Even that wasn't even screwed on. So it was the right price point. And then what I got thinking is it's too tall. It's like a dining room chair, but I kind of like the scroll work. Painted up black against the red. I think like velvet will look perfect. So we're going to do like a gloss black and red theme on this. As you can see by the marks here, I am going to drop this 10 inches, and how I'm going to accomplish that is I'm removing the gas tank so we can lower this down, lower the center of gravity down. We'll mount the tank back here of sorts, and we're going to do our steering coming up. That's where that junk bicycle, it came out of the woods, that was over there. So we're going to do some kind of T steering handle setup, figure out how to use part of that in this. And like I said, the whole basic build is to keep it safe, keep it fun, and keep it cheap to free. Something I have noticed, this is how my buddy had these on here. Now I am thinking, trying to figure out how I'm going to set everything up. So I'm thinking about actually flipping these around, bringing these to back here, bring the steering in more. Maybe I can get my feet over that and attach the pedals. Maybe we're going to attach the pedals back up here. Haven't thought of everything yet. Like I said, I'm still playing around with it. Now, I had this done a minute ago. It is a very tight fit, which is good, so there's no slop. So I could do something like this. There's throttle, and I do have a master cylinder to fit that disc brake so we can stop on a dime. That will be over here some sorts. I got to figure out how we're going to do that. This was actually intended for mechanical brakes, but since we have the disc, we spent the money over the years, we're just going to go ahead and tie that in. Like I said, this is a budget build. I'm not trying to spend more than I have to. I do, as you see, we got this spaced out, so we're going to sleeve this of sorts. We're going to try to go something like that. We're going to try to keep this tire in the center of that one. Stability. Like I said, all the projects, this is just being pieced together. We're just going to have some fun with this. And like I said, if you're watching this video series, you keep up with my channel, look to the 2 videos we're going to release before this, which is, I believe, the hot rod Power Wheels build. There's 2 videos. It was a fail. I didn't finish that project, so we're going to release them too, and we'll transition on this. So why don't we go ahead and start taking apart some of this, and let's get welding. Let's start finalizing some of this stuff, get cutting, and we'll go from there. Alright. What I went ahead and did, just tacked this plate in place. Well, actually, I guess you can call it tacked. I mean, they're thick penetrating welds. What I'm going to do is flip this contraption over, and I'm going to go ahead and put about 3 large welds on the bottom, so this plate is permanently part of the frame, and this part stiffens it. Went ahead and did some slots. Yeah, before anybody comments, I already know I goofed that up. Originally, we weren't going to do one here because the way it was going to come here. Then I thought about it. I was like, well, I could do it real close or just go ahead and let it come through, even though when the the motor's going to move forward, so I should be able to miss that. Then yeah, I completely goofed that up. What I'll do is just put a bigger washer on the bottom. It should be fine. This whole plate was turned around originally. This was set up for the drain for when it was in the golf cart project, which has become the accumulation of everything else holder. So I think that's what I'm gonna do now, is start going through this thing. This is basically just tacked real good in several spots. Might add a couple more. I noticed right here I've only got 2 tacks. Might as well go ahead and finish all that. So I might as well do this real quick, and then I'm able to go ahead and return the motor and start bolting the motor up. At least I got a rear end that moves. I do need to tighten the lugs down, the lug nuts for these tires. So I think that's going to be the next step. Let me go ahead and start doing some welding, and we'll get this thing on the way to being done. Alright, so as you see, we got this heavy monster up here. Unfortunately, I'm out of welding wire. I've used up my Lincoln wire, which was like a 10-pound spool. Then that was 0.35, so then I got resorted to using the 1-pound 0.30 that came with a Harbor Freight welder, which was there for an extreme backup, because I particularly hate their wire. But okay, well, fabrication doesn't have to quit today, so we can go ahead back to mocking up. Got this whole lift table cleared off, as you see, so we got the motor back on here. So with the gas tank that you see has been removed, I guess the next step, I'll go ahead and trim this chair down. So I'm gonna trim it down 10 inches, which should theoretically set it like right here, so it lowers the person's center of gravity down, because this thing, I want it to look like kind of a hot rod, like them little chairs that you see all these older people riding around everywhere. So we're going to create our own. So I guess that's the next step. So let me grab the Sawzall. We'll just shoot that down 10 inches. We'll set it up here and start mocking from there. Alright guys, you kind of see what 10 inches ends up doing to the whole look. 10 inches brought it from a king's chair down to a midget's height. No, we're not getting politically correct here. But what I do know is the front will rest up on the metal plate for the motor mount. What I'm going to do is all the way around, I'm going to actually have a pin. And what I mean is, I'm going to have a bolt of some sort that would be the same diameter on the inside of the square tubing, where it'll be welded to the plate, so whenever this chair is sat down, there's going to be a hole drilled, and we're just going to run a pin, say like right through it, so that way the chair can be taken off later on for removal of the motor, maintenance, etc. But I figured, since we are going for the hot rod look and that seat bottom does look comfortable, let's see if I'm plugged in. Go ahead and lift this sucker up a little. Alright. Get y'all a better look. So something else, so there's a couple things I've been contemplating. Now 10 inches actually got me where you can notice this is resting right here. But I have a couple that actually might be coming out as far as how I'm going to hook the throttle up. So that's to be continued to later on. One thing I don't want is I don't want the tail end of the seat sitting up like that, so you're kind of leaning more forward. If I have to, I'll actually cut the back legs of the seat just a hair, so it might appear that it's sitting lower, but with the stance of the frame, that it's going to be sitting just correct. So you'll be sitting flat even if the frame is still sitting right. Now, since I haven't technically had this on the ground, I might actually just put it on the ground and see how the stance is with everything going to be lowered down. Let's walk around. We got the old tripod here, so the legs are extended. If you notice, the way it is, this is going to be coming real close to the ground, so I might, like my buddy was pointing out, we're probably going to put some shading guard in place here. Might also do one across the bottom, just so it doesn't dig in. Because whether on the street, the sidewalk, or out in the field, you might as well make it have fun. Get out and romp. So, you know what? Why don't we go ahead and put this down? We'll drag it out onto the ground, and let's see what kind of stance we got. I used it a couple times, took it off. Now, out of curiosity, Alright guys, sorry I had to cut out of the last clip. When I bent down, I've been getting bad cramps in my back, and I had just got one in my stomach area, so I had to shut this off real quick. But this is what we got. So if you notice, I love the stance of the rear. The front tires do need to come out, like on this side, it needs to come out, so the center to center. Now, one thing I noticed I don't like is that front end is super low. But I'm trying to figure out how, without buying bigger tires, how we can, which I might just have to go with a bigger rim and tire, kind of like that one, to go on this kart. Because I would definitely like, I definitely want it a little bit higher, get a little bit of ground clearance, which if I do that, that means I won't have to adjust the seat. So I'm just looking at the possibilities of what I could do to get this thing to lift up higher. And I don't right now see it. I think what it is I can't remember which way. I think I welded this upside down. I think I could have took this and flipped it, and then that would have gave me the ground clearance that I was looking for. So I don't know yet. This is still to be determined. Like I said, we're trying to keep this a simple build. I want to definitely get a little bit of clearance. I'd like to be up at least an inch, 2. I don't know. Give me a second. I'll be right back with you. Now, this is why I like mocking things up. By going up that much higher, it's bringing the front end up, which will give me ground clearance. That's a good thing. I don't want to take one of those wheels off to do it here, but what I'm thinking is just saying the hell with it. Go ahead and do that. It'll give me a little bit wider of a tire, which I keep looking at this, and this is irritating. It should be sitting right about here. So the spacing I can set to wherever I want, but now it's time to get the front end up higher, and I believe that's what it is. I believe we're just going to need to put bigger tires on the front, but that does not stop us from fabricating. So at least I know I won't be able to reuse them. So we're going to have money putting into some different front rims. Tractor Supply should have them. But also, like I suggested, I was telling my buddy, we're going to take the gas tank so we can keep this chair low. And somehow or another, we're going to go ahead and mount the tank back here, which I can still gravity feed it over to the carburetor. So it enables the chair to sit low. And I should just have just enough room to mount the muffler where I want to. So it's going to look kind of busy back here, but why not? Still working out the ideas of how to mount this tank. Shouldn't be too hard, but I think the tank will end up going right here. That gives me that sets up that. So I think for today. I'm going to be calling it shortly done here. I got some work done. I'm happy. Still want to get this front end. I'm still not happy with the front end. I dig, though, the wide stance. So with a wide stance, at least I can corner hard as hell. Unless that front gives out, I'm not worried about tipping it over. But what's the point of building a contraption, something as like the hot rod death trap, without fear of flipping over? Alright, I guess next thing is next. I'll put this thing back on the stand. I know we're going to have to do something with that front tires. And I'll go ahead and start working, maybe possibly bolting the motor down. Already tried them. Different size spacing. The hubs are larger.
I see that now.
Oh, trust me, I already thought about that.
That'd have been badass right there.
You never know. Possibly using wheels. I don't know yet. We're still looking. I kind of like skinnies on the front. So, all right, let me figure out some other stuff, and we'll stay tuned. For y'all, it'll be seconds. For me, it might be a day. Keep on trucking along, getting this thing built. All right. So, just getting back on this project, I've got a couple things that I did when I was off camera. So, what I figured is I'm going to flip you around and go ahead and show you what I've kind of got done yesterday after work, after a long, super day. Got a couple things done. Let's flip this sucker around. All right. Let's go ahead, and as you notice, we got some rusty, bigger wheels. I have yet to put this back on the ground fully and try it out, but I believe with these taller tires, it's going to level it out a little bit more, but at least we still have the skinnier tires in the front, bigger, beefier ones in the back. And what it was, as you can see kind of down there, my cart, which I'm going through that cart, it was given to me. That's for a whole nother YouTube project video. I went ahead and bought some brand new ones yesterday at Tractor Supply. They were $16.99 a piece. Only difference between the two wheels, this one is a solid rim tire, brand new tires, inner tube, etc. all came per piece. So what I did was I went ahead and took these, which these are a lot older. I like the fact that 5 bolts takes them apart and this splits them into 2 halves. I'm still trying to decide. I guess what I'll do is I'll end up popping these apart, sand them, and we're going to end up painting these. Let me see if I can find it. If this comes out to be the correct color, we got gloss apple red. So I figured, okay, well, gotta have red wheels, match with the red seat, but I should want more probably of a burgundy-ish red, but it's whatever. So we got the new wheels attached. Also, while I was at the hardware store, I went ahead and picked up, these are 3.5 inch by, what is this, 3.5 inch long by 3/4 pipe nipples. So that's going to be the standoff for our seat, which I'm actually kind of glad I went ahead and got that little 1/2 inch extra. And I thought it was a decorative touch, kind of going with, as you can see back here, the whole plumbing concept of build it however you got it. Went ahead and picked up some little pipe caps. I thought they'd be decorative for the ends. And yesterday, goofing around, I went ahead and, while I was at Tractor Supply, something I'm very much missing in my shop as far as supplies, I went ahead and picked up the master chain link and another piece of chain that was laying around. So besides putting a little bit of money in that cart, this one I have a total, I believe, so far of $10. It's all I really spent for the little pipe nipples for 2 of them, 2 of the caps, the little can of spray paint, and I think that was it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and since I've got everything kind of set in place, I'm going to go ahead and tack these down. Go ahead and tack these up in place, and once these are tacked, I'll go ahead and drop the lift. We'll pick up the back end of this. I'll go ahead and fully weld these in. We'll go ahead and get those in so that way they're non-movable. And then I don't know if we're going to figure out how to do the seat so it slips on and off. Not sure yet, but let me go ahead and get this tacked up and we'll go from there.